Hey, JK here. I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me. For day 13, we're going to leave San Francisco, head south, and talk about the San Diego Padres, who were third in the NL West with a record of 82-80. They had a positive 104 run differential and the third highest payroll in Major League Baseball. And they were a disappointment. They failed to make the playoffs, and really, with a payroll that high, it's at least playoffs or bust. Like, you at least get to the playoffs, right? Well, there are a few reasons they didn't make it to the playoffs. We'll get to those. But first, let's talk about the offensive category leaders. Xander Bogaerts led the team in at-bats, hits, and average. Fernando Tatis led the team in doubles. Jake Cronenworth led the team in triples. Trent Grisham led the team in strikeouts. And Ha-Seong Kim led the team in stolen bases. The rest of the categories went to Juan Soto. Those include runs, home runs, RBIs, total bases, on-base percentage, walks, slugging, and on-base plus slugging. Fun fact about Mr. Juan Soto and Trent Grisham, I guess a fun fact about them, they are Yankees now. So that's great, I think. I hope. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But in any case, another fun fact about Juan Soto, we know he's good. If anyone else out there hates his little, after a pitch goes by, he goes out and does a squat and does this weird Gollum looking thing. Yeah, I hate that. Yeah, weird. Don't like it. Anyway, fun fact. He had more walks, 132, than he did strikeouts in 2023. He had 129 strikeouts. So I think that's pretty interesting. Next guy we're talking about is Xander Bogaerts. I want to start off by saying he is not bad, but he's on a tad bit of a decline moving from the East Coast to the West Coast. He's batting .285 for the end of the 2023 season. That is what the stats say. The stats also say that's the lowest he's batted since 2017 and then again since 2014. That was his second year. So, not terrible because those were like he was batting like .283 and then like 2014 he batted .240. But that's 10 years ago. Holy cow. Anyway, it's a little bit of a decline. However, there's also more to that decline. He lost runs, hits, doubles, triples, RBIs, walks, and all of his percentages. He went down in all of them: batting average, on-base percentage, on-base plus slugging, and slugging. So, and here's the thing. He actually had more home runs this year than he did last year. But in any case, the big addition to his game, not even to his game because he's kind of always been known as someone who does stolen bases. He only had 8 last year in 2022, but in 2023, he had 19. And he's on a few of my teams, so I enjoyed those 19 stolen bases. I wonder where they were in 2022. But in any case, we say maybe lost a step, having to move from shortstop to second, but you're adding stolen bases, you still got a few moves, right? So, again, not saying he's bad, but also saying that 31 might be a decline year for him. Who knows? Someone who's not on the decline, and that's for sure, is Ha-Seong Kim. He had a great 2023 and has shown improvement from 21, 22, 23 now into 24, whereas the new starting shortstop for the San Diego Padres. Yeah, this man definitely on the rise. This fella has played from 2022 to 2023, 2 more games. So he had 21 more at-bats. Tell me how that works. He added 26 more runs, like we talked about. He had 10 more overall hits, 6 more home runs, like we talked about, 24 more walks, but also 24 more strikeouts. He had 26 more stolen bases in 2023 than 2022. So definitely going to be a threat on the base paths. And we talked about he did increase his batting average, on-base percentage, slugging, and his on-base plus slugging by no less than 15 points. Actually, on-base plus slugging, he improved by 41 points. So this new starting shortstop will absolutely be an asset in any fantasy league, points or roto. To keep with the young guy, new guy theme, Soto young, Xander old, Kim new, and finally Manny Machado old. He had surgery last year to repair a tendon in his right arm. Therefore, he will be designated to just be a designated hitter. So that means that Matthew Batten will be the guy playing third. He did play 43 games there last year. He did bat .258 and he did draw 17 walks. He also struck out 30 times. But he did show a little bit of an eye, so that's good. That's not terrible for the Padres. But for the record, he's absolutely solely a stopgap until Machado gets back. So overall, it sounds like the offense is going to be stymied a little bit. They're not going to have some of the best guys in there, or at least some of the guys last year that produced so well for them. So that may not be the most dominant offense or the most dominant bats you can get. Now, I'm not going to say they're bad. Tatis, good. Now he's off the PEDs. Numbers definitely dropped from 21 to 23. Something to keep in mind. Obviously, you're going to have Xander Bogaerts hitting well. You're going to have Mr. Machado once he gets back, even though I hate Machado. But before we get to that whole breakdown of how the fantasy looks, let's get to the pitching. Everything went to Blake Snell. But I'm going to go ahead and give the whip to Joe Musgrove because he had a 1.14 whip. Snell had a 1.19 whip. However, Musgrove didn't hit the 162 inning mark. He only had 97 innings pitched. But I want to give something to Joe Musgrove, to a different pitcher than Snell, who doesn't have a team at this point in time. However, we will get to the holds. Steven Wilson. Now keep that name in mind because then we're going to go to the saves guy. That's right. Saves. Josh Hader's not there anymore. So your backup saves getter was Domingo Tapia. Or we could go with Tom Cosgrove. Both of them had one save each. Yeah, this bullpen is looking good. But first, let's move to some actual starting pitchers before we talk about how abysmal the bullpen is going to be this upcoming year. Joe Musgrove. He started the year in the IL, and he ended the year in the IL, so it's not great. His first pitch wasn't until late April, and his last pitch was in a game in July. So hopefully the injury bug hasn't caught up with him to overtake his body and make it become a yearly occurrence, because this is the first time since 2016 that he did not start at least 19 games. 2016 was his rookie year, and I'm pretty sure he started 15 games. So he's got a pretty good track record. And of course, that's not counting 2020 and all that crap that happened. So Musgrove, definitely a dependable guy. Hopefully the injury bug has not engulfed him, because he did pitch great when he was pitching. He started 17 games. He had 11 quality starts. He had 11 wins. So he's definitely still doing well. I'm not saying he's bad, but I am also saying that he had a pretty down year. Of the pitchers that started 17 games for the Padres, all of them, except for him, had an ERA of 3.56 or below. He had a 4.65. All starting pitchers who pitched at least 17 games, or started 17 games, had a whip 1.20 or below. Except him. He had a 1.3 whip. Now, the last time he had an ERA 4 plus was 2021 and again in 2018. So it's not like it hasn't happened before, but I'm also saying he wasn't 37 at that point in time. He didn't have as many miles on his arm as he did then. So just food for thought. He's still good. He's still going to be able to get you strikeouts. He did have more strikeouts than innings pitched. 141 strikeouts, 135 innings pitched. So something to think about. But again, Yu Darvish, not the guy that you're drafting from Texas. Not the guy you're drafting from the Dodgers. But we knew that. So now let's get to the bullpen. Ooh. If you're a Padres fan, it's going to be painful listening to this. You lost 4 of your top 7 setup men. You also lost arguably one of the top closers in the league. That's bad. That's bad. 5 of your 8 biggest pieces. And then after that, the pieces you still have left don't have a lot of mileage on. They don't have big game pressure situations under their belt. But hopefully, they'll be able to manage. Most of my confidence is in Steven Wilson. He is still there. Other guys, Robert Suarez. I'm pretty sure he was pegged to be the next closer, but obviously not. Tom Cosgrove, he pitched for them last year. Wandy Peralta, he's a new guy from New York. Inyo de los Santos, I'm pretty sure he was with the Reds or the Cardinals or one of those red teams. Yuki Matsui, he's a new signee, and Adrian Morejon. None of them did great stuff. Steven Wilson had the most holds. I think he had 30 plus, maybe 32, and he has the most experience. Right now, they have Yuki as their closer. I don't know how that's going to last, if it even is, because right now he can't even pitch. So the bullpen is not who you want to rely on in your counting leagues if you need holds and or saves. They could surprise me. If there's anyone in that bullpen, I'm looking at Steven Wilson. And that's strictly because he has experience. He is a setup guy, but who knows? He may very well end up having to be an opener for the Padres. Who knows? So not the best bullpen or pitching rotation you want to look at. Now, as I talked about, there was a lot that was lost, but let's get to what they got first. Michael King came from my Yankees. Sad to see him go. However, obviously they need him more than we do. I think. I don't know. Maybe we need him more. But in any case, Michael King is a converted reliever to starting pitcher. Did very well over the last month or so that he was converted to starting pitcher. Had a pretty decent looking ERA and whip, and obviously he can throw strikes, so definitely someone who is going to help them. Another Yankee, Kyle Higashioka. I really liked him. He wasn't great, he wasn't sexy, had a funny name obviously, but you know, it's all good. Luis Patino. Now, you might be thinking, who is Luis Patino? He's a bullpen guy, and obviously they need all the help they can get in the bullpen. And of course, we talked about Yuki and Wandy Peralta. All three of those are bullpen guys. They definitely need all the help they can get. Now let's get to the departures. It's a long list. Seth Lugo. You may not think that's the sexiest name, but you might also only know him from New York. The Mets, being a setup guy. He did convert to a starting pitcher and didn't do horrible. He wasn't great, but he's better than what they got, you know, as far as like third, fourth, and fifth starter right now. Nick Martinez, definitely not sexy, was a bullpen guy, and is now going to be starting at Great American Ballpark for Cincinnati. Not great. Josh Hader, we talked about him. Luis Garcia, bullpen guy. Scott Barlow, bullpen guy. Tim Hill, bullpen guy. Blake Snell, still, again, does not have a team, but wow, he had a 2.25 ERA last year. He did look good. I don't know how much that's going to carry over to actually getting him a big contract like he wants, because he hasn't shown a track record of being that good. But, you know, Tyler Anderson got a big deal after, you know, having one great year. Andrew Haney got a great deal after one pretty good year. So it could happen. Another guy, Michael Wacha. Not sexy, but a warm body. And finally, Ryan Weathers, someone who I had picked up previously for hold. So you heard me say multiple pitchers, multiple bullpen guys. So really, that bullpen is depleted. Now, let's get to the bats. Juan Soto, obviously the biggest loss. Trent Grisham, I don't know how I feel about him, because he strikes out a lot. I hope he hits well for the Yankees. Another former Yankee, Gary Sanchez. I'm glad we don't have him anymore. And finally, Austin Nola. So they are starting Campesino behind the plate, I believe, now. Decent. Not the worst thing in the world. Overall, I think the Padres are not going to be great. I don't know if they're going to hit 500 this year, but I also do know they're not going to lead the team in, or lead my team at least, in holds or saves. They're definitely not going to lead the league. So that bullpen is definitely not one I'm going to target. Again, other than Steven Wilson, probably not. Pitchers, Musgrove, be patient. Darvish, be even more patient. King. He is also someone who you might need to be patient with. He is going to have some good stuff, but we saw a transition from East Coast to West Coast for Mr. Bogarts. It could also happen again. Hopefully it's the reverse for West Coast to East Coast, and it's like an uptick, and even better for Mr. Soto, for my Yankees. But in any case, Padres aren't the sexiest team to be a part of. There's talk about dysfunction in there. They do have some pieces. Tatis is a piece. Duh. Bogarts is a piece, as always. You have a few starters in the rotation that we talked about that you need to be patient with, but not the team I'm stacking for my fantasy team. So in any case, we are going to be moving out of the state of California and going to Arizona to talk about the Diamondbacks for this next episode. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. This is Jake Aiken, and I want to thank you for sharing part of your day with me.